Totto-Chan, The Little Girl at the Window by Tetsuko Kuroyanagi. Translated by Dorothy Britton. Episode The Railroad Station. Totto-Chan and her mother got off the Oimachi train at Jiyugaoka station, and the mother took Totto-Chan by the hand to lead her through the ticket gate, where they had to give away the tickets. Totto-Chan had hardly ever been on a train before and was reluctant to give up the precious ticket she was clutching. "May I keep it?" Totto-Chan asked the ticket collector. "No, you can't," he replied, taking it from her. She pointed to his box filled with tickets. "Are those all yours?" "No, they belong to the railroad station," he replied, as he snatched away tickets from the people who were going out. "Oh," Totto-Chan gazed longingly into the box and went on. "When I grow up, I am going to sell railroad tickets." The ticket collector glanced at her for the first time. "My little boy wants a job in the station too, so you can work together." Totto-Chan stepped to one side from the queue and took a good look at the ticket collector. He was plump and wore glasses and seemed rather kind. She put her hands on her hips and carefully considered the idea. "I wouldn't mind at all working with your son," she said. "I'll think it over. But I'm rather busy just now as I'm on my way to a new school." She ran to where mother waited, shouting, "I'm going to be a ticket seller." Mother wasn't surprised, but she said, "Oh, I thought you were going to be a spy." As Totto-Chan began walking along holding mother's hand, she remembered that until the day before, she had been quite sure she wanted to be a spy. But what fun it would be to be in charge of a box full of tickets! "That's it!" A splendid idea occurred to her. She looked up at mother and informed her of it at the top of her voice. "Couldn't I be a ticket seller who's really a spy?" Mother didn't reply. Under her felt hat with its little flowers, her lovely face was serious. What if they wouldn't have Totto-Chan at the new school, she thought. She looked at Totto-Chan, who was skipping along the road, chattering to herself. Totto-Chan didn't know mother was worried, so when their eyes met, she said gaily, "I've changed my mind. I think I'll join one of those little bands of street musicians who go about advertising new stores." There was a touch of despair in mother's voice as she said, "Come on, we'll be late. We mustn't keep the headmaster waiting. No more chatter. Look where you're going and walk properly." Ahead of them, in the distance, the gate of a small school was gradually coming into view. Episode The Little Girl at the Window. The reason mother was worried was because although Totto-Chan had only just started school, she had already been expelled. Fancy being expelled from the first grade. It had happened only a week ago. Mother had been sent for by Totto-Chan's homeroom teacher, who came straight to the point. "Your daughter disrupts my whole class. I must ask you to take her to another school." The pretty young teacher sighed. "I'm really at the end of my tether." Mother was completely taken aback. What on earth did Totto-Chan do to disrupt the whole class, she wondered. Blinking nervously, the teacher started to explain. "Well, to begin with, she opens and shuts her desk hundreds of times. I've said that no one is open or to shut the desk unless they have to take something out or put something away. So your daughter is constantly taking something out and putting something away. Taking out or putting away her notebook, her pencil box, her textbooks, and everything else in her desk. For instance, say we are going to write the alphabet. Your daughter opens the desk, takes out her notebook, and bangs the top down. Then she opens the desk again, puts her head inside, gets out a pencil, quickly shuts the desk, and then writes the letter A. If she has written it badly or made a mistake, she opens the desk again, gets out an eraser, shuts the desk, erases the letter, then opens and shuts the desk again to put away the eraser, all at top speed. When she's written the A over again, she puts every single item back into the desk one by one. She puts away the pencil, shuts the desk. Then she opens it again to put away the notebook. Then when she gets the next letter, she goes through it all again. First the notebook, then the pencil, then the eraser, opening and shutting her desk every single time. It makes my head spin. I can't scold her because she opens and shuts it each time for a reason. The teacher's long eyelashes fluttered even more as if she were reliving the scene in her mind. It suddenly dawned on Mother why Totto-Chan opened and shut her desk so often. She remembered how excited Totto-Chan had been when she came home from her first day at school. She had said, "School's wonderful. My desk at home has drawers you pull out. But the one at school has a top you can lift up. It's like a box. And you can keep all sorts of things inside. It's superb." Mother pictured her delightedly opening and shutting the lid of this new desk. And Mother didn't think it was all that naughty either. Anyway, Totto-Chan would probably stop doing it as soon as the novelty wore off. But all she said to the teacher was, "I'll speak to Totto-Chan about it." The teacher's voice rose in pitch as she continued, "I wouldn't mind if that was all." Mother flinched as the teacher leaned forward. "When she's not making a clatter with her desk, she's standing up all through class." "Standing up? Where?" asked Mother, surprised. "At the window," the teacher replied crossly. "Why does she stand at the window?" Mother asked, puzzled. "So she can invite the street musicians over," the teacher almost shrieked. The gist of the teacher's story was that after an hour of almost constantly banging her desktop, Totto-Chan would leave her desk and stand by the window, looking out. Then, just as the teacher was beginning to think that as long as she was quiet, she might just as well stay there, Totto-Chan would suddenly call out to a passing band of garishly dressed street musicians. To Totto-Chan's delight and the teacher's tribulation, the classroom was on the ground floor looking out on the street. There was only a low hedge in between, so anyone in the classroom could easily talk to people going by. When Totto-Chan called to them, the street musicians would come right over to the window. Whereupon, said the teacher, Totto-Chan would announce the fact to the whole room. "Here they are!" And all the children would crowd by the window and call out to the musicians. "Play something," Totto-Chan would say. And the little band, which usually passed the school quietly, would put on a rousing performance for the pupils with their clarinet, gongs, drums, and samisen, while the poor teacher could do little but wait patiently for the din to stop. Finally, when the music finished, the musicians would leave and the students would go back to their seats, all except Totto-Chan. When the teacher asked, "Why are you still at the window?" Totto-Chan replied quite seriously, "Another band might come. And anyway, it would be such a shame if the others came back and we missed them." "You see how disruptive all this is, can't you?" said the teacher emotionally. Mother was beginning to sympathize with her when she began again in an even shriller voice. "And then?" "What else does she do?" asked Mother with a sinking feeling. "What else?" exclaimed the teacher. "If I could even count the things she does, I wouldn't be asking you to take her away." The teacher composed herself a little. and looked straight at Mother. Yesterday, Totto-Chan was standing at the window as usual, and I went on with the lesson thinking she was just waiting for the street musicians, when suddenly she called out to somebody, "What are you doing?" From where I was, I couldn't see who she was talking to, and I wondered what was going on. Then she called out again, "What are you doing?" She wasn't addressing anyone on the road, but somebody high up somewhere. I couldn't help being curious. I tried to hear the reply, but there wasn't any. In spite of that, your daughter kept on calling out, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" So often, I couldn't teach. So I went over to the window to see who your daughter was talking to. When I put my head out of the window and looked up, I saw it was a pair of swallows making a nest under the classroom eaves. She was talking to the swallows. Now, I understand children, and so I'm not saying that talking to swallows is nonsense. But it is just that I feel it is quite unnecessary to ask swallows what they are doing in the middle of class. Before Mother could open her mouth to apologize, the teacher went on. Then there was the drawing class episode. I asked the children to draw the Japanese flag, and all the others drew it correctly, but your daughter started drawing the Navy flag, the ones with the race. Nothing wrong with that, I thought, but then she suddenly started to draw a fringe all around it. A fringe, like those fringes on youth group banners. She's probably seen one somewhere. But before I realized what she was doing, she had drawn a yellow fringe that went right off the edge of the paper and onto her desk. You see, her flag took up most of the paper, so there wasn't enough room for the fringe. She took her yellow crayon and all around her flag she made hundreds of strokes that extended beyond the paper, so that when she lifted up the paper, her desk was a mass of dreadful yellow marks that wouldn't come off no matter how hard we rubbed. Fortunately, the lines were only on 3 sides. Puzzled, the mother asked quickly, "What do you mean, only 3 sides?" Although she seemed to be getting tired, the teacher was kind enough to explain. "She drew a flagpole on the left, so the fringe was only on the 3 sides of the flag." Mother felt somewhat relieved. "Oh, I see. Only on 3 sides." Whereupon the teacher said very slowly, emphasizing each word, "But most of the flagpole went off the paper too, and is still on the desk as well." Then the teacher got up and said coldly, as a sort of parting shot, "I'm not the only one who is upset. The teacher in the classroom next door has also had trouble." Mother obviously had to do something about it. It wasn't fair to the other pupils. She'd have to find another school, a school where they would understand her little girl and teach her how to get along with other people. The school they were on their way now from the railway station was the one Mother had found after a good deal of searching. Mother did not tell Totto-Chan she had been expelled. She realized Totto-Chan wouldn't understand what she had done wrong, and she didn't want her to get any complexes. So she decided not to tell Totto-Chan until she was grown up. All Mother said was, "How would you like to go to a new school? I've heard of a very nice one." All right, said Totto-Chan, after thinking it over. But Totto-Chan was asking joyfully, "Do you think the street musicians will come to the new school?" Episode: The New School. When she saw the gate of the new school, Totto-Chan stopped. The gate of the school, which she used to go till now, had fine concrete pillars with the name of the school in large characters. But the gate of this new school simply consisted of 2 rather short posts that still had twigs and leaves on them. "This gate is growing," said Totto-Chan. "It'll probably go on growing till it's taller than the telephone poles." The 2 gate posts were clearly trees with roots. When she got closer, she had to put her head to one side and tilt to read the name of the school because the wind had blown the sign askew. Tomoe-ga-ku-en. Toto-chan was about to ask mother what Tomoi meant when she caught a glimpse of something that made her think she must be dreaming. She squatted down and peered through the shrubbery to get a better look, and she couldn't believe her eyes. Mother, is that really a train? There, in the school grounds. For its classroom, the school had made use of 6 abandoned railroad cars. To Toto-chan, it seemed something you might dream about. A school in a train. The windows of the railroad cars sparkled in the morning sunlight, but the eyes of this rosy-cheeked little girl gazing at them through the shrubbery sparkled even more. I like this school! Toto-chan let out a whoop of joy and started running toward the train school, calling out to mother over her shoulder. Come on, hurry! Let's get on this train that's standing still! Startled, mother began to run after her. Mother had been on a basketball team once, so she was faster than Toto-chan and caught hold of her dress just as she reached a door. You can't go in yet, said mother, holding her back. The cars are classrooms, and you haven't even been accepted here yet. If you really want to get on this train, you'll have to be nice and polite to the headmaster. We are going to call on him now, and if all goes well, you will be able to go to this school. Do you understand? Toto-chan was awfully disappointed not to get on the train right away, but she decided she had better do as mother told her. All right, she said, and then added, I like this school a lot. Mother felt like telling her it wasn't a matter of whether she liked the school, but of whether the headmaster liked her. But she let go of Toto-chan's dress and took hold of her hand and started walking toward the headmaster's office. All the railroad cars were quiet, for the first classes of the day had begun. Instead of a wall, the not very spacious school grounds were surrounded by trees, and there were flower beds full of red and yellow flowers. The headmaster's office wasn't in a railroad car, but was on the right-hand side of a one-story building that stood at the top of a semicircular flight of about 7 stone steps opposite the gate. Toto-chan let go of mother's hand and raced up the steps, then turned around abruptly, almost causing mother to run into her. What's the matter? Mother asked, fearing Toto-chan might have changed her mind about the school. Standing above her on the top step, Toto-chan whispered to mother in all seriousness, This man we are going to see must be a station master. Mother had plenty of patience as well as a great sense of fun. She put her face close to Toto-chan's and whispered, Why? Toto-chan whispered back, You said he was the headmaster, but if he owns all these trains, he must be a station master. Mother had to admit it was unusual for a school to make use of old railroad cars. But there was no time to explain. She simply said, Why don't you ask the headmaster yourself? And anyway, what about Daddy? He plays the violin and owns several violins, but that doesn't make our house a violin shop, does it? No, it doesn't. Toto-chan agreed, catching hold of mother's hand. Episode The Headmaster. When mother and Toto-chan went in, the man in the office got up from his chair. His hair was thin on top and he had a few teeth missing, but his face was a healthy color. Although he wasn't very tall, he had solid shoulders and arms and was neatly dressed in a rather shabby black three-piece suit. With a hasty bow, Toto-chan asked him spiritedly, What are you, a schoolmaster or station master? Mother was embarrassed, but before she had time to explain, he laughed and replied, I am the headmaster of this school. Toto-chan was delighted. Oh, I'm so glad, she said, because I want to ask you a favor. I'd like to come to your school. The headmaster offered her a chair and turned to Mother. You may go now. I want to talk to Totto-Chan. Totto-Chan had a moment's uneasiness, but somehow she felt she would get along all right with this man. Well then, I'll leave her with you, Mother said bravely, and shut the door behind her as she went out. The headmaster drew over a chair and put it facing Totto-Chan, and when they were both sitting down close together, he said, Now then, tell me all about yourself. Tell me anything at all you want to talk about. Anything I like? Totto-Chan had expected him to ask the questions she would have to answer. When he said she could talk about anything she wanted, she was so happy she began straight away. It was all a bit higgledy-piggledy, but she talked for all she was worth. She told the headmaster how fast the train went that they had come on, how she had asked the ticket collector but he wouldn't let her keep the ticket, how pretty her homeroom teacher was at the other school, about the swallow's nest, about their brown dog Rocky, who could do all sorts of tricks, how she used to go snip snip with the scissors inside her mouth at kindergarten, and the teacher said she mustn't do that because she might cut her tongue off, but she did it anyway. How she always blew her nose because Mother scolded her if it was runny. What a good swimmer Daddy was and how he could dive as well. She went on and on. The headmaster would laugh, nod, and then say, And then? And Totto-Chan was so happy she kept right on talking. But finally she ran out of things to say. She sat with her mouth closed, trying hard to think of something. Haven't you anything more you can tell me? Asked the headmaster. What a shame to stop now, Totto-Chan thought. It was such a wonderful chance. Wasn't there anything else she could talk about? She wondered, raking her brains. Then she had an idea. She could tell him about the dress she was wearing that day. Mother made most of her dresses, but this one came from a shop. Her clothes were always torn when she came home in the late afternoon. Some of the rips were quite bad. Mother never knew how they got that way. Even her white cotton panties were sometimes in shreds. She explained to the headmaster that they got torn when she crossed other people's gardens, by crawling under the fences, and when she burrowed under the barbed wire around vacant lots. So this morning, she said, when she was getting dressed to come here, all the nice dresses Mother had made were torn, so she had to wear one Mother had bought. It had a small, dark, red and grey checks and was made of jersey. And it wasn't bad, but Mother thought the red flowers embroidered on the collar were in bad taste. Mother doesn't like the collar, said Totto-Chan, holding it up for the headmaster to see. After that, she could think of nothing more to say, no matter how hard she tried. It made her rather sad, but just then the headmaster got up, placed his large warm hand on her head and said, Well, now you're a pupil of this school. Those were his very words. And at that moment, Totto-Chan felt she had met someone she really liked for the very first time in her life. You see, up till then, no one had ever listened to her for so long. And all that time, the headmaster hadn't yawned once or looked bored, but seemed just as interested in what she had to say as she was. Totto-Chan hadn't learned how to tell time yet, but it did seem like a rather long time. If she had been able to, she would have been astonished and even more grateful to the headmaster. For you see, Mother and Totto-Chan arrived at the school at 8, and when she had finished talking and the headmaster had told her she was a pupil of the school, he looked at his pocket watch and said, Ah, it's time for lunch. So the headmaster must have listened to Totto-Chan for 4 solid hours. Neither before nor since did any grown-up listen to Totto-Chan for as long as that. And besides, It would have amazed mother and her homeroom teacher to think that a 7-year-old child could find enough to talk about for 4 hours non-stop. Totto-Chan had no idea then, of course, that she had been expelled and that people were at their wits' end to know what to do. Having a naturally sunny disposition and being a bit absent-minded gave her an air of innocence. But deep down she felt she was considered different from the other children and slightly strange. The headmaster, however, made her feel safe and warm and happy. She wanted to stay with him forever. That's how Totto-chan felt about headmaster Sosaku Kobayashi that first day. And luckily, the headmaster felt the same about her.